Welcome back everyone, Oz here. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. And today I've got some fun stories from r/EntitledParents. Entitled mom pushes my brother off a bridge, ends up shot. Hello everyone, I've been hearing a lot of people talking about how fake these entitled parent stories are and such. They're right, to an extent. The title of my story would definitely sound fake to lots of people, although I don't have any proof of what happened. I hope you all can take my word for it and enjoy the story. Too long didn't read at the bottom. I've definitely lived a crazy life with some crazy friends and enemies, and have had my fair share of idiots. I lived in a medium-sized city town, about 40k people, and much of the area is rural. I was about 9 at the time of the Great Shove. There's a bridge that connects two very popular hiking trails that runs over a wide river. Despite its length and width, the river is only about 15 feet deep at its deepest point. Anyway, the trail is always packed in early summer to late fall since the bridge is the only way to access the other trail without taking a swim in the river. My dad, brother, and I were crossing the bridge to get to the other trail when my dad requests that we stop to take some photos of the mountain view we had. My brother, about 7 at the time, small and skinny, was doing that kid thing where they hoist themselves above a railing with their hands but stay in that position. He was enjoying the views when this absolute whale of a woman, and I mean absolute hunk of lard, maybe 380 to 430 pounds, came run waddling up to us. She didn't have a see your manager haircut, but her head was shaved and the stubble of her hair was dyed red. She had one of those baby carriers that you strap to your chest with an infant in it. This entitled mother stopped right behind my brother and uttered, "You're not setting a good example for my daughter," and promptly yeeted him off the bridge. In retrospect, she probably just kind of eased him off, but my memory was a bit hazy from that part. Naturally, my dad, me, and everyone else crossing the bridge were in shock. I saw someone immediately dial 911, and my dad began yelling at her. I was just bawling and looking over the edge, where I saw my brother had surfaced. The drop was about 25 feet, but there's no way he had landed on his feet after he tumbled off. A bunch of people started yelling at him to swim to the shore, but I could see that he was too busy screaming and crying to listen to what they were saying. I turned back to my dad and saw that the lady was matching his level of anger and shouting as loud as he was. All I could hear from the entitled mother were things like, "I don't want your son to be a bad influence for my daughter. What if she tries doing something like that? I don't care about your fucking daughter. Why the hell did you just push my son off a bridge?" A squad car pulled up after about 10 minutes. The trail was wide. My dad had dashed off to try to find my brother, and a bunch of hikers were yelling at the entitled mother to try to prevent her from running. I should probably say waddling, away from this scene. The baby was somehow completely calm this whole time. The cops hop out of the car and stride over to the EM. They must have had Karen senses. One of them opens their mouth to say something, and the entitled mother turns around and tackles the officer, scratching at his face and screaming like a banshee. The other cop and several other hikers immediately try to pull her off, not because she was attacking the cop, but because she had practically belly flopped onto him with a fucking baby on her chest. As soon as they get her off, she starts running at the cop again. The strap that held the baby must have broken because someone had scooped her up so that the cops could take action. The second cop immediately draws her gun and puts a bullet through her shoulder. After shrieking so loudly that I thought I was going to go deaf, the whale passed out and the cops took her to an ambulance that was waiting by the squad car. The baby was crying and a paramedic took her from him and carried her away. I was still crying and kept sobbing until my dad appeared with my soaking wet brother about 25 minutes later. The cops asked a crap ton of questions. I had to answer most of them since my dad had left to find my brother and I was only 9. That slowed things down a bit. My brother was fine but totally shaken. He got diagnosed with PTSD 6 months later. We went home and slowly began to recover. 2 weeks later, we got a letter from the police department saying that the lady had serious undiagnosed mental health issues and most likely saw my brother as a threat to her child, rather than her story of him being a bad influence. Despite the surprising results, I still hate her for what she did to my sweet little bro and will never forgive her. This was back in early 2013. She's still serving her 7-year prison sentence for attempted manslaughter, child endangerment, and assault. I also heard she was in rehabilitation sessions, so I hope she can come to her senses. Thanks for sticking by me for the whole story, folks. This one kind of messes with me a little bit because I want to poke fun at the entitled mother, but she also has mental health problems, so that really wouldn't be right. And While there are a couple of discrepancies here and there, I do think that that can kind of be chalked off as it being, 6 years ago. So who knows? Let me know what you guys think in the comments below if you think this story is real or fake. Aunt calls cops on my mom in her own home after stupid freakout. So this happened when I was 12 going on 13. My aunt, who we'll call Karen, needed a place to live. Her fiance had dumped her recently and she didn't have any family that lived a reasonable distance away that was willing to take her and her 5-year-old in. But my mother is a very nice woman, very family orientated. Naturally, she took her dear sister and her son in. Seriously, what could go wrong? Let's start off with the fact that her 5-year-old still needs diapers and was being potty trained at our house. He has an Xbox, I don't remember what type, that he would play shooter games on while talking to grown men, right in front of her. She couldn't care less. Karen really doesn't care about her kid. She let him run around doing whatever he wanted and letting him eat whatever he wanted. We had some chocolate chip cookies from our local supermarket that had just gone on sale, so naturally, we bought them. There had to have been about 30, give or take, cookies in there. He ate all of them. We had some fruit snacks that were for his school lunch. He ate all of those too. Anything sweet that we had in our kitchen, pantry, fridge, etc. was gone in a span of few days. Now, because this kid just runs off of sugar, he has a really bad immune system, so he's always sick. She brought this machine that would help him breathe if he ever had any complications. This is important, I swear. She also brought this huge ass suitcase. To give you an idea of how big it was, I was around 5'3" when the incident happened. That monster stood a little higher than my waistline, and it was thick too. About two 12-year-old girls stuck behind one another. This suitcase was put in my mom's closet when she moved in. Now, on to the good stuff. My mom made dinner, broccoli mixed in with cheese covered noodles, with some chicken on the side, and I, being a relatively healthy child, finished most of my plate. Karen's kid didn't eat anything. He just took small nibbles out of the chicken. Pretty wasteful, right? My mom tried to trick him into eating broccoli by calling them magic trees that'll make you super strong. He ate a few after that, but not nearly enough to call it dinner. Since most of us were finished with our food, save for Karen's kid, my mom said, "F it," and pulled out dessert. She made sure that the pieces that she gave him had something remotely healthy on it. He ate all of it, no questions asked. My mom tried to tell her how unhealthy that was, and I even joined in. Note, we were trying to be as kind about this as possible as Karen has a history of bipolar depression. She flipped, screaming about how we shouldn't tell her how to raise her own fucking child and that my mom needed to get her disrespectful ass daughter in line. That flipped the switch on my mom. She yelled back, "Apologize to my daughter or get the fuck out." Karen demanded that it was her right to stay here because of it being a free country. My mom had none of it, saying, "You call someone to get you right now or I'm calling the cops on you." It was just to get her to leave. After a good 5 minutes of a screaming match between the two, Karen finally wavered and called a relative. I'm not sure who, but whatever. I go to sleep and try to forget about it, all the while I'm hoping she and her kid will be gone in the morning. I wake up for school with a different type of alarm, the two sisters yelling at each other. I try to get ready while listening to music to drown out the noise until my mom runs to her room, it's across the hall from mine, and grabs that monstrosity of a suitcase from her closet. She puts the thing on the floor with some force and pushes it towards Karen. This suitcase was on tiny wheels, like the ones on a skateboard, so due to the weight of everything, it fell over. Karen starts screaming again, "You bitch, stop throwing my shit," in front of her 5-year-old, who is now bawling his eyes out. Now here's the thing, my mom did powerlifting in high school, so she developed quite a bit of muscle. Plus, she has like 0.003 body fat, joking but still, so if my mom wanted to throw Karen's shit, she would full on throw it. Now, we had a stack of DVDs we were going to donate to Goodwill. Karen decided it would be a good idea to knock those over. At this point, I was ready for school, so I said bye, I love you to my mom and left. Everything past this point happened while I was at school. Now, my mom didn't give me all the details, but this is what I have knowledge of. The situation between them got more and more heated, so naturally, Karen thought it would be a good idea to call the cops on my mom in her own house. Cops came, Karen said, screamed. A bunch of made up shit, clearly just to get my mom arrested. Cops made her leave, and they told her that whatever she left, she would have to go to civil court for. When she left our house, she left a bunch of her shit at the house. Remember her kid's breathing thing? Left that there. All of her expensive makeup, towels, blankets, her kid's stuffed animals, all of it, and she can't get it back. ever since we've disowned her and will never again consider her family. If Karen doesn't get it together, that kid's gonna end up on 4chan ranting about tendies. Oh god. Thank you for watching. I know I haven't done entitled parents or storytime stuff for a while because I've been trying to expand to other territories for my channel, so if you guys could check those out, like my anti-vaxxing videos, that'd be fantastic. But as always, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed what you saw, please consider subscribing, and I'll see y'all next time.